Well, I've been traveling the past week, so that's one of the reasons my videos haven't been as frequent and as up to date as it has been. But while I was traveling, the Congress, the House of Representatives, passed Trump's big, beautiful budget bill. That's what they're calling it, at least. This budget bill is the bill that is going to kick millions off of their health insurance and deprive millions more food and the basic necessities of life, as it will be cutting Medicaid and SNAP. Now, the Republicans are trying to spin it as that they're not actually cutting Medicaid and SNAP. They are just ferreting out the fraud that is in both those programs and kicking millions of illegals off of those programs. Now, I don't talk about this much, but I actually work in that industry here in Nevada. And I'm going to tell you, the fraud that they speak of is non-existent. Medicaid and SNAP are two of the most efficiently run programs of the federal government, and the fraud is so minute that it's not, there's not the cuts they're talking about in those programs because of fraud. Secondly, illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants. I hate that term illegal because no human is illegal, but undocumented immigrants are not eligible for these programs. There are slight situations where they can receive Medicaid on an emergency basis, so the hospital gets paid, or that child is able to be born in a hospital if the woman is pregnant. But they are not just willy-nilly allowed to have medical benefits, and they are not allowed SNAP benefits. Everyone says, well, what if they use a fake Social Security card? That's very seldom the case. And if they do, they're paying taxes on that Social Security number out of their paychecks. Therefore, there you go. But let's look even deeper. SNAP adds more to your community than it takes from your community. For every dollar that is spent on SNAP, another $1.50 to $2 is put back in the community when the people go and use their SNAP. Medicaid funds the small rural hospitals that millions of people to rely on throughout this country. This now has to go to the Senate, and in the Senate, it's already facing opposition. There are senators saying that they absolutely will not vote for this bill. There are some saying that it's because it cuts too much, but that's not the majority that is saying they won't vote for the bill. The majority that are saying they won't vote for the bill don't like it because it doesn't cut enough. Now remember, this bill is all, the purpose of this bill is 100% to give the billionaires and the 1% that tax cut that Trump did in 2017. He wants to make that permanent. And to do that, they have to find the funding. So basically what they're doing is taking from the less of us, the people who need help the most, and giving it to the ones who have the most. And that's not right. And that's not fair. If you call yourself a Christian, that is definitely not Christian. So what can you do? Well, like I said, it's already facing opposition in the Senate for a myriad of reasons, some bad, some good. Call your senator, especially if you live in a red state. The Democrats have already promised none of them are going to vote for this bill in the Senate. But again, this was done through the reconciliation process. Therefore, they don't need a supermajority. A simple majority will pass this. So reach out to your senators, especially if you're living in a red state. Here's the Senate switchboard number. Give them a call. Let them know that this is not okay to steal from the poor to give to the rich.